So I've made a quick video over the worksheet that you had for homework last night, and what I'd like you to do is simply just check check your work, change your answers, listen to some explanations if you've missed anything. So on the first page you were asked to draw a scatter plot. Pretty simple, just plotting the points. Just take a look that it looks something like mine. Number two, the answer is positive. You can see that the number of rainy days increases, so do the number of umbrellas sold. Number three, that's a negative correlation. You can see that as the number of miles driven increases, the gallons of gas that are in the tank is going to decrease. 4 and 5, you're asked to explain the correlation that you would identify here. So temperature during the day and the number of people in the pool. It's kind of like that beach example we did in class, but as the temperature rises, you would expect an increase in the number of people in the pool. 5, the height of an algebra student and the number of phone calls they make in a week. You would say no correlation. Those two things are basically unrelated. And in the scatter plot that I drew, you were asked to, in the scatter plot that was given, you're asked to predict how many batteries will be needed for 11 toys. So you can kind of see I drew a trend line. We'll talk more about drawing trend lines later, but basically the trend line needs to go through the middle of the data and it needs to hit 2 points in the data. So as I extend that line out, and then I drew a line up from 11 toys, it goes over to about 37 batteries. I would probably accept anything from 35 to 40 there. Second page, again, asked you to graph a scatter plot, so I've done that on number 1. This was percentage of people ages 28 to 24 who reported that they voted in the presidential election. Number 2, we have time and number of people painting. So that's a negative correlation. And on number 3, that's no correlation. You can see that that scatter plot does not follow any sort of trend. 4 is identify the correlation you'd expect to see between the number of pets a person has and the number of times they go to a pet store. That should be a positive relationship. You would expect that a person with more pets would go to a pet shop more often. 5 through 8 is all based off the trend line. So 5, you were graphing it. 6, you're drawing a trend line. 7, the correlation would be positive. And then also, again, you can see I extend the trend line out. It goes through the middle of the data. It hits a couple of points. So if I draw up from 12 and I hit the line and I go over, I'm at about 9 minutes. So it should take him about 9 minutes to make 12 sandwiches. And the last page, again, drew the scatter plot from number 1, so just make sure your points pretty much match up. Number 2 is real tricky. It says that the number of chickenpox vaccines given and the number of chickenpox cases reported. This is a negative correlation, so you have to kind of understand how a vaccine works. But vaccines are given to control the disease. So the more vaccines that are given, the fewer cases of chickenpox would be reported. Fewer people would be getting it. Number 3, number of vacation days given to employees and their level of job satisfaction. So the more days you're given for vacation, obviously you would be more satisfied with your job, so that's positive. Number 4 has a scatter plot that I drew and then a trend line. So this one doesn't really look like it has positive or negative correlation. My trend line kind of goes, it's like a horizontal line. So that really just kind of shows that it's number of gallons of coffee per person consumed. So you can see that that just really hasn't changed over time. And how confident are you? And I would say that I'm fairly confident. Again, my trend line goes through the middle of the data. You'll notice 2 points above and 2 points below. Also, my line goes through 2 points. So I would say that I'm fairly confident in that. It also doesn't look like much has changed. You could probably say anything from 24 to 26. as far as the gallons of coffee for answer number 7, and be pretty confident in that. So if you've missed anything, make sure you correct it. Also make sure that you do your bell work for today.